Hey, folks. I thought I would record another one of these dumb little videos since I've not really recorded much in the way of videos during the Affliction League. Part of this is that I am in a private league. Me and some of my friends, specifically the folks I record the podcast with, did Bell League, which was a 40-day private league in kind of a guild SSF scenario. So I'm going to label this SSF because basically everything that I've got, I found myself. But I'm technically in a trade league with friends. It's a private league, which is none of us are actually trading. We're just, doing communism mode on our guild stash. So, and there's a couple of us that have farmed way more than others. So, we're kind of dumping materials and stuff for others to use. So I'm gonna do a map real quick. This is my used to be Volcanic Fissure of Snaking Chieftain turned Righteous Fire Chieftain when I was trying to make that work. So it's just a map that doesn't really affect me. It's not, doesn't have, yeah, it's got quality on it. I'm not going to do the league mechanic because at T16 it just takes a little bit longer than I want it to. But this is my RF Chieftain character, which is technically, I think, a second or third attempt at an RF Chieftain. And we'll talk a little bit about it. So the one ability that I went with this time that I had not before was the ability where if you stand still, everything has minus 20 fire resistance. That ability is far better than I ever thought it was. Mostly because that works on maps where there's no exposure. So, cause it's not considered exposure. It's just blanket setting the resistance down to negative 20. Okay, we're going to go loot this stuff cause a winged scarab is worth looting. The big thing with this build is it does decent enough damage by itself, but what you're really wanting to do is get the big Hinokora's Fury explosions, which will clear the entire screen, or at least most of the screen when they proc. And this is pretty tanky. It's not quite as tanky as the Righteous Fire Juggernaut was. But it's not bad. I'll talk about that whenever we get done with the map. This is surprisingly good at Legion. It's not amazing at Breach just because, it's not the fastest thing in the world and you're not, clearing entire screens, but, when it procs, you can wipe out huge swaths of these stupid little dudes. Yeah, and you keep seeing the explosion procs there. Okay. There's a splinter. I need splinters. I'm trying to save up some breach stones because I'm not actually running breach, but if I get some breach stones while doing other content, then more power to us. The other thing about the RF Chieftain with that elemental node is it allows me to run a different curse, so I don't have to worry about flammability. So I'm running punishment, which again helps things just die faster whenever they get to low life. And it almost makes this feel like a double curse build with the convenience of just a single curse. Where? Oh, there it is. It went up. It went up instead of down. I'm used to Abyss's backtracking. That's a spire. In theory, I should be farming this spire instead of killing it, but because supposedly that's what you do for big drops. But I'm also not juicing right now. Oh my! That was a map explosion. Yeah, so that's the other thing about this league is like you just get wild drops like that. Look at all that nonsense. I'll clean that up in a bit. Okay, let's go take out the boss. Around some initial traps. And I have no clue what my damage numbers look like because I don't spend much time in POB. It feels weaker than RF previously did, other than the explosions. Like, that's the big thing that we're gaining that's making up for some of the other tweaks in the build. I'll go back to my hideout for a moment. Okay, so since I care about defenses way more than I care about attacks, I have decent armor at 25k. I have no real evasion, no real energy shield. I'm running right around 5,500 life, which after factoring in my arrogance supported vitality gives me about 5,000 life, which feels comfortable. Almost 2,800 life regeneration per second. So I'm churning more than half of my life every second, which helps a lot. And then also, I have all elemental resist to 90. I could swap my rings out and get chaos resist, capped. And honestly, like with better access to better gear, I would probably be chaos capped as well. And that would help a lot. And once we, here in 6 days, I think, where our private league is dissolving into trade league. And this is probably going to be the character that I pour currency in to try and tweak to be more effective, because I'm really enjoying it. And then, shock, immune to shock, immune to freeze. Chieftain by nature, due to one of the ascendancies, can't be ignited, so I'm completely elemental ailment immune without going purity of elements. Determination, vitality, tempest shield, purity of fire, and it's a 21 purity of fire that I lucked into a YOLO corrupt, and then defiance banner, which consumes all of my mana. As far as the tree goes, it's a pretty standard Marauder RF tree. So I go up here to the Fire Mastery node with Heart of Flame and Breath of Flames. I pick up the Holy Fire node. Something that I didn't usually do on my Juggernauts is I pathed over here to get Explosive Impact. I do have a Spiritual Aid set up, though I have contemplated dropping this entirely and putting in a cluster, because right now I'm running Barracks Respite, which is, thanks to Pox suggesting this, basically it gives me elemental proliferation on death whenever I kill an ignited enemy, and it works really well. So much so that, like, I had tried throwing in a Fan the Flames cluster that I rolled, thinking, oh yeah, that would be even better, so that I'm proliferating every time I ignite, and then proliferating again every time something ignite dies. Except for it doesn't really work like that, since ignites don't really stack, or not significantly. So, if I went Cluster Jewel, I would drop Barracks Respite and probably swap these two to Chaos Resistance rings and put Fan the Flame in the Cluster Jewel. But I got to figure out what else I want to tweak. So I've been running this just since I initially swapped over, because it's a decent amount of flat regen. It's almost 300 flat regen right now at 96, which increases all the other, you know, multiplicative regen things. So I don't know. Like I could probably get rid of that just fine, but I would need something to give me the attributes that are on this one. Because my dex and int are pretty tight. I'd also like to swap this out. So right now I have fire trapping gloves and righteous fire and lightning coil. And lightning coil is a big part of my defensive layers because I'm converting 50% of physical damage to lightning damage. Since I don't have all the strength of Juggernaut to keep me alive, that has come a long way. I'm running Rise of the Phoenix because it's +5 max fire resist, which turns into +5 max all resist. These are just like most of the other items that I have, my helm, my glove, my boots, were just things I picked up and had chunked into my stash tab. Because this is a trade league technically, even though it's very self-found, I had been dumping stuff in a sale tab and putting one wisdom scroll on it just so that everyone else playing the league with me could rifle through my stuff. So all of these things were just things that anytime I saw an item with halfway decent resist on it, I'd chuck it in my tab. So like these are not particularly good boots. I mean, they're 71 boots. 85 gloves, those aren't bad. You know, and the helmet is 85. So like I could definitely improve all of these. I have a really pretty good immortal flesh. Like, you know, we're not far. Like, I mean, 350 regen would be best option. Also, -50 from physical damage would be optimal. But, you know, like I got -15 elemental resist. So that's really the thing I usually tend to care about. So for playing in an SSF league, I thought that's a pretty good belt. The necklace is kind of trash. I just needed something with resistances. And then when I swapped to the lightning coil, I needed something. I needed to bench craft some more lightning resistance so that I was still capped. Yeah, so that's the build. Like I mean, it's pretty standard from a lot of it's basically the RF Chieftain is patterned off of a Juggernaut. And like really, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but the pieces that really help this is Hinokora's Death Fury is this big explosion for 500% of their maximum life. That is what is making this feel good. Also, the fact that I only have to care about fire resist for my total resistance and my maximum resistance. And then Ramako Sunlight is the -20% if I'm stationary. So that basically that overwrites the mob's resistances. And at first I thought that's kind of not good because you can definitely get a mob's resistance well below -20%. But the fact that it's just there and it's predictable, it's amazing. As far as I still haven't found the stupid King of the Mists. Still. So I don't have my final charm. But the ones that I'm running are basically percentage strength and life regen, which is largely just to give me more life regen. I've not seen any of the explosion nodes. I think a perfect version of this would be life regen explode, maybe. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna go back into that map and loot the rest of the crap and then go fishing for the King of the Mists. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time I do one of these dumb things. Bye.